Go Day. It's the very first day of our journey over the mountains with George Washington, and we're here at the very first historical marker. So let's go check it out. So here we are at the marker with my book. This is the historical marker here in Auburn, Virginia. Very tiny, tiny little crossroads. As you can see, I just, parked over on the side of the road there. But let's read this together. Neville's Ordinary. George Neville, a planter and land speculator, acquired land in this area in 1731 and for decades operated Neville's Ordinary, which provided lodging and refreshment to travelers in Virginia's back country. The Ordinary was well situated near major roads that linked Pennsylvania to the Carolinas, Carolina Road 15 today, and connected eastern tobacco ports with the Shenandoah Valley. In March 1748, 16-year-old George Washington stopped here with George William Fairfax on their journey over the Blue Ridge to survey portions of the vast land grant controlled by Thomas, 6th Lord Fairfax. The town of Auburn developed around the Ordinary. This is a Department of Historic Resources 2021 plaque. It's very new, very beautiful. The whole area around it is mowed in this gorgeous circle. So, it might be a quiet road. It's not nearly as major as the road today. But as you can tell by the traffic going by, it's busy. It's got one stop sign. It's an interesting intersection. So, it really just echoes the major roads as it is described here in 1748. So we're talking about here, George Washington. He's just a kid. He was 16 years old. And his neighbor, George William Fairfax, his friend, who was a little bit older, I think 7 years older than him, introduced him to Thomas, the Lord Fairfax. Let's see if there's anything on the back. Same thing. So you can get a picture with the whole circle with the same information on this side. But now that truck is gone, I can say that this is the first stop. So you can imagine that George Washington, George William Fairfax, and this whole crew of chainmen and the pilots and the markers, they were all leaving from Alexandria, from from Belvoir. Now, you might consider it Fort Belvoir, but in those days it was the home of the Fairfax family. And so George and George William and the whole crew would have left there, who knows when, whatever time they wanted, and then ridden their journey to this spot. And so Neville's Ordinary would have been where they first got off their horses, stretched their legs, sat down for a meal, for a conversation, hung out, and George wrote down a few little words in a notebook. If you'd like to see digital images of that notebook, you can go in the Library of Congress. They are the very first batch of his papers. I believe image of the journal is image 1, and one of the very first surveys that he does in long script is image number 3. So let's check out what he wrote. Day 1. Journal of my journey over the mountains began Friday the 11th of March 17478. Friday, March 11th, 17478, began my journey in company with George Fairfax, Esquire. We traveled this day 40 miles to George Neville's in Prince William County.